So good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Matthew Klenk. I'm the choir director here at North Penn High School. That first piece that you just heard is called Loho Nolofatsa, which is a greeting song from South Africa. So it's our way of greeting you here tonight. It means bless everything. Everything can be considered wonderful if we allow it, if we see it through the right lens. So a couple things I do want to ask of you before we get going tonight and continue with our music. The first thing is, if you've not been here before, even if you have, you may have noticed our chairs squeak a little bit. Right? You noticed that? So if you could just kind of try to keep your own movement minimized because they're very, very loud. The other thing I need to ask is, those of you sitting in this section here, we actually need this section later on in the concert for seating. So if at some point, doesn't have to be right this second, but after the next couple songs, if you'd be able to move into the center, we need everything except, I think, the first 5-ish rows on this side. So I apologize, I thought that they were being taped off, but I missed that. So, but we are gonna need those seats. As we, oh, and one other thing, just if you wouldn't mind, if you need to leave at any point to use the bathroom or to grab a drink, just please do so between songs. The art show's going on, and it does create quite a lot of volume if the doors are open. Speaking of the art show, I hope you had a chance to check it out as you were coming in. We have some just absolutely tremendously talented students at North Penn High School, and I think that's really probably never more on display than it is on this night when we share the chorus concert and we get to put the work of people across this school and across the whole district on display. If you haven't gotten a chance to really look through the art show, I definitely encourage you to do so when we are finished tonight. How many of you have things out on display there? That's awesome. Congrats. Something that I always try to remind my students of is, you know, we all study history in school. And when we do that, we look back at civilizations of the past and we look at what made them successful and what defined them. And so often, what it is that we remember about places isn't maybe so much the economy, maybe sometimes it's the political system, but it's always the art. We always look at civilizations gone by and we look at their architecture, we look at their visual art and their sculpture, their paintings. And from about, I don't know, about 1,000 years ago, we look at their music when we kind of start having a record of it. And I try to remind them that music as an art form has to be this ongoing thing, that we need new stuff all the time. We need to sing music of the past, we need to know where we came from, but we also need to make sure that we're promoting music that is here, that is right now. And that's why I'm thrilled that we're performing this next piece. This piece, which is called Laments, is written by a local composer, a colleague of mine, and a wonderful human being named Nathaniel Arnold, who is the choir director at Upper Dublin High School. He composed this about 10 years ago. It's a setting of a Christina Rossetti poem, and we're going to be performing this a cappella, and we hope that you enjoy this piece, because we had a great time. Actually, Than came to rehearsal the other night to give his input and his thoughts. which is just, it's really cool because it's so rare to get to do that with a real composer. So Nathaniel Arnold's Lament. Ladies and gentlemen, the composer is in the house. Stan, would you mind standing up real quick? We can give you another round of applause. The next piece of music also has the word lament in the title, but it really couldn't be more different from the piece that you just heard. Whereas the text of the last piece was very much about it was actually about the person who is about to leave this world, consoling the people who are going to be left, who are going to be sad because they're gone. This next piece sets up a little bit of a theme that we have tonight in our music. The Lamentations of Jeremiah is a very intense piece because it tells the story of Jeremiah, a Hebrew prophet, who is agonizing over the fact that he believes that he has helped to lead his people astray. And he is watching his home. He's watching Jerusalem be sacked by the Babylonians, and he's watching his people be slaughtered, taken into captivity, and he believes that it's his fault. And in this piece, it's really very cool. You're going to hear his torment, his agony, and ultimately at the end, his hope that really maybe he can make things right. So this is Randall Stroop's setting of the Lamentations of Jeremiah. Beware the piano level, it might be a little hot. So we're making our first set change of the night, and while we do, I want to take the opportunity to mention a few things that we have still remaining here at North Penn High School, especially in our program prior to the end of the year. Graduation is only 2 weeks away, but there's quite a bit going on in those 2 weeks. And some things that you may want to check out, especially those of you who maybe are just here from the community because you heard it might be a good show tonight or wandered in from the art show. You have still many opportunities to hear some great music from our program. Beginning with this coming weekend, we're celebrating Memorial Day, obviously, in just a few short days. And one of the ways that actually, I'm going to start with this. You may know this, maybe you don't, but the Philly Pops every year put on a show at the Mann Music Center in Fairmount Park. It is free, and both last year and this year, they invited the chamber singers to actually come and join with their chorus for that event. So if you want a good way to kick off your Memorial Day weekend, I would highly recommend go check out the Philly Pops concert at the Mann Music Center. It's Saturday at 7, and again, our chamber singers are going to be featured. Monday morning, Lansdale will be having their annual parade and ceremony in honor of our veterans. And if you've never been before, we have a parade right down Main Street, Lansdale, at 9 in the morning. And then at 10 o'clock, we have a ceremony right at Memorial Park on Main Street in front of where Penndale Middle School is. Our men's and women's choirs will combine along with our wind ensemble to provide the music for that event. It's very touching, very moving, and again, if you're looking for a way to really celebrate Memorial Day, I would say the right way, and pay tribute to those who deserve to have tribute paid to them, I would love to see you there Monday morning. So again, the parade's at 9, and then the ceremony's at 10. Last but not least, in about a week and a half from now, June 3rd, which is a Sunday at 3 p.m., our groups you're about to hear, our women's choir, our chamber singers, and our men's choir, they'll be presenting their final concert of the year, which is going to be at Corpus Christi Corpus Christi Church, excuse me, right around the corner on Sumney Townpike at 3 p.m. Each of those groups is singing just a few songs tonight, but they have much more in their repertoire, and we've for a number of years culminated our year with that. So if you are interested in hearing some more great music, Sunday, June 3rd at 3 p.m. And I'm going to come down so women's choir can start. beginning. Nice job, Emily. This next piece is a very, very, very cool one. In part because it's really new. This is a piece called Rise Up by a composer named Jake Runestead. He's a young composer living in Minnesota. And he took a number of sayings and writings of Susan B. Anthony and collected them into this particular piece. So literally with the title, you can kind of guess it's got this very inspirational vibe to it of Rise Up, that no matter what is keeping you down, that it's our internal strength that matters, that we can truly rise above. And we hope that you enjoyed this piece. Again, a very new piece. We're going to make our next set change right now. Going to the North Bend High School Chamber Singers. So the way that our program is structured, we have the women's choir and the men's choir, who you hear momentarily, who sing, as you would expect, soprano and alto repertoire, tenor bass repertoire. The chamber singers are a mixed group, and they've achieved quite a lot the last few years. And the one that I want to mention just right off the top here, this group was out in Pittsburgh in March because they were selected to sing at the American Choral Directors Eastern Division Conference, which is an event that's only held every 2 years. Any choir from the entire Northeast United States can apply to perform, and as it turns out, they chose 2 high school choirs to come, 2 high school mixed choirs to come and perform, and the chamber singers were one of them. So we went out there, performed for 2 really large and enthusiastic crowds at that conference. But it's an achievement that we're really proud of. Now we have 1 piece from that event we're going to share with you tonight, and then 2 pieces that we've just recently started working on. One of them is the first one, which is a spiritual Ain't It That Good News. I have a few individual students that I want to recognize, and actually they're listed in your program if you check out somewhere. Each year, I'm allowed to nominate 16 students, 4 per voice part, to audition for district chorus, and district means Bucks and Montgomery County. All high schools in Bucks and Montgomery County are able to send singers, and they choose the top 20 from every section. From there, a student can then re-audition and move on to region chorus, and from there move on to all-state chorus. So I just want these students to raise their hands so they can get a quick recognition. This year we had selected for district chorus Doug Bell, Maddie Burke, Shri Karkata, Aaron Menzo, James Murphy. We had students who moved on to region chorus, Charlie Claffey, Leah Franco, Madison Joyce, Stephen Kondikian, Kyle Preston, Henry Strobel. And then 3 students advanced all the way to Pennsylvania All-State Chorus this year, Emma Moyer, Jay Patel, Lindsay Spritzler. So congratulations to those folks. I'm going to embarrass Emma just a hair more for a moment. Emma is about to graduate and managed to do something that is remarkably difficult, which is she made every festival chorus for all 3 years that she was here, district, regions, and all state, and she placed first at some point in her section at every point during her time here. She went to all Eastern chorus last year, which is a great achievement. And then she was also selected to go to all national chorus this year, which was in Florida back in November. So Emma, congratulations. And as luck would have it, she's the soloist in our next piece. This is a setting of Hard Times by Craig Hella Johnson. So as the women's choir is departing, I do want to recognize Sammy Steck and Madison Joyce for the solos on that piece. Well done. We're going to switch quickly into our arrangement for men's choir. Our men's choir has had, I think, an awesome year, and it built from the very beginning with a lot of new members and a ton of potential, but needing to really find a way to come together to create the sound that we really wanted. We really were able to reach a high point in April. Just about a month ago, we had found out over the summer that the men's choir had been selected to perform at the PMEA conference this year. That's the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association. They hold a conference once a year, and they had been chosen. And they had been chosen because we sent some recordings of our group from last year, and we had an outstanding men's choir last year. And again, trying to find our own identity and a way to come together. We were certainly able to do it, although it was through some, maybe some of the music we didn't necessarily expect, like these first two pieces. They're both very short, and if you're looking at your program, I'll just explain, or if you're not, just so you know what's going on. We're going to sing two short pieces, both in Estonian, and actually I'm asking if after we finish the first one, if you could not applaud, just so we can continue right to the next one. But these are traditional Estonian folk songs. Some of them are really funny, some of them are really raucous, some of them are kind of profane, but they're quite a bit of fun to sing, and we'll be singing two of them for you. Without any further ado, Mr. Lolud.
Tulla, tulla, kyminen tätä jalalla, alla, alla, lassagamea mari tulla, 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 kyminen tätä jalalla, alla, alla, the surit, how good, you snug of on a mara, how good, Musukatana surit, how good, you snug of on a mara, how good,
Just two quick things about that piece. They were very fast, but there were a couple of brief solos sung by three of our seniors, Parth Aurora, Kevin Claxon, and Ryan Wolf. If you guys could quick raise your hands, nice job on that. And also, if you would like to have any idea of what we were just singing about, the translation is in your program, so feel free to refer to that. This next piece, I could try to explain it. You probably wouldn't get it, and it's way more entertaining to just watch it. This is called Sound Off, and it's... what do I even say about this piece?
Fun.
It's fun. They're going to have a great time with it. We think you're going to have a great time watching and listening to it, but this is a piece composed by Paul Reardon, who is a choral director at Temple University. He actually wrote this. He used to be choir director at Michigan, University of Michigan, and he wrote this for their glee club about 10 years ago. So Paul Reardon, Sound Off. Ready?
Sound off. What's a good word? Hello. While the others are chilling, y'all filling at the chord we're filling. We got feeling. When we roll in the place we're hotter. When we sing, we bring the house party. House party, house party, house party. Left foot to smile. Swing for it! We singing 1, 2. We singing 3, 4. Whole company down, up, 1, 2, sound off. Bass to sound up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up? Hello. Remote station in a place where the interface making our case. We're the base. We're just putting on a show where only we can go down. We're all in the place of town and everybody. All we do is low house party. House party. House party. House party. Throw your hands in the air. Just throw your hands in the air. Well done. We singing 1, 2. We singing 3, 4. Whole company down, up, 1, 2, sound off. Company sound up. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. When we roll in the place, the place gets started. When we roll in the place, the place gets started. When we roll in the place, the place gets started. When we roll in the place of knowledge, we're a party. Fellas are jealous and the ladies broken hearted. In the place of knowledge, we get started. When we roll, said when we roll in the place gets smarter. All you feel is a real house party. House party, 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 house. Did somebody say house party? Here we go. Oh! Sound off. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right, and it is time for the chorus to retake the stage. Chorus, reverse order of how you got down to those seats. While the chorus is retaking the stage, this is always a good time for me to say thank you to quite a number of people, because we're not able to do a concert like this. We're not able to have a year like this or a program like this without the help of so many people. There's a number of thank yous on the back, but there's so many other people in addition to that that need to be acknowledged and thanked. But I do want to first and foremost say, thank you to North Penn administration that is at the ESC with Dr. Dietrich, Dr. Holben, that's right here with Dr. Bauer and our assistant principals. We have a program that's not just the chorus, obviously, our band, our orchestra, our technology program, our jazz program. We're so proud of the things that we do, and we can only do them because we're supported, because we're allowed to. So I do want to say thank you to them. I want to say thank you also to my colleagues, Mr. Heller, Ms. Milborn, Mr. Tumalo, who I get to teach music with every day, and for the work that they do. I want to say thank you, parents, to all of you, especially because I tell these students all the time, they come to my class probably because they're looking for something different in their day. We go to science for something that we need. We go to social studies for something that we need. We go to math for something that we need. But we also go to music for something that we need. And I thank you for supporting that and for supporting their desire to make that a part of their regular day. So thank you, parents. Just a few more acknowledgments. Our AV crew, especially Mr. Ryan Riddell, who's running sound tonight, Craig Wireman, who helped us set up, Mr. Gilmer, Bob Gilmer, who put together our slideshow that you'll see in a few minutes, Mary Fakish, who's running NPTV, and they're broadcasting this live tonight. And also you can find this on YouTube in, I'm sure, just a few short hours. What I think that's going to take us into is this idea in the second part of the concert from the chorus tonight. These first two pieces you're going to hear really go together, and they connect to a theme that we started back in the first half. I was talking about Lamentations of Jeremiah and how Jeremiah was so distraught because he was watching his people being taken captive, being driven from their home, and watching their home destroyed. These next two pieces continue that story to an extent. This first piece is actually called The Chorus of the Hebrew Slaves, or it's nicknamed that, I should say. It's from an opera that Giuseppe Verdi wrote, and the slaves in this case are being held captive in Babylon with very little left, with very little energy left, with very little sustenance left, and really very little will to live left. But what's keeping them sustained is this thought of their homeland. If we translate the Italian, and again, the translation's in your program, we're singing about our thought, our ability for our thoughts, our memory to drift away to somewhere else. And we all need that, whether it's our imagination, our memory, whatever, to be able to capture that way of thinking that allows ourselves to mentally be somewhere else. We all need a place to call home, and these people singing this song did not have a place to call home. And we're going to follow that up with a piece called Saints Bound for Heaven, which is a chorus about the jubilation over the ending of the captivity in Egypt. So you'll hear a lot of references to that. But the core of the message is that these people first did not have a home. And then the sense of jubilation that they felt when they finally did have a place that they could call home is captured in that next piece. So right in a row here, we're going to do Va Pensiero and Saints Bound for Heaven.
I can put these right here. There we go. Now that you've thanked so many people, it's time for us to thank you. From the class of 2018, thank you so much for everything you do. You've not only taught us about music, but about life. And the enthusiasm which you bring to every rehearsal, every concert, and every class inspires us. And your hard work and devotion to our program is something that we are so grateful for. Once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So we couldn't afford a dip machine, but we got you the next best thing. Open it up. A hamster wheel. In case any of you are really confused, Mr. Klenk often uses analogies like hamster wheel and dip machine to help us with our singing in class. We also have another gift. No, it's not. It's all good. Get the bubble wrap off. Layers.
How do I open this?
Okay, explain.
So, this is a baton case, and it occurred to me one day that you've been carrying around the same plastic tube that came with the baton when you bought it for all these years. And we thought you deserved something a little bit better, so
And you can't see it from off stage, but on it there's an engraving that says Mr. Klenk, and North Penn Chorus, class of 2018. So he'll remember us forever.
I never.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I never invested in a baton case before. You know, that plastic tube seemed like the right thing until now. This is really beautiful, thank you. But I need the baton, so I'm not going to fill it at the moment. Now we're going to sing Va Pensiero and Saints Bound for Heaven, as soon as they get back in place. before I get to this next piece, I do want to just quickly mention a couple of things because I'm probably not going to have a better chance than now than to actually say them. I do want to make sure I kind of moved quickly through the first piece into the second, and wanted to acknowledge the soloist from back in the very first piece that you heard. If you could just wave. We heard Johanna Pitchford, who's right there. We heard Carly Buchanan, who's over here. We heard Megan Akias, who's over here, right there. And we heard Henry Strobel, who's up in the bass section right there. Nice job on that. And I also want to take this opportunity again, because there's not going to be a better chance to thank our accompanist this year, Mrs. Kristen McInnes. Kristen, if she looks familiar and you've been coming to these concerts for a while, she used to sing in them. Kristen graduated here in 2011, right? And then went to college. She got 2 piano degrees, and she is living back here right now. Her husband is in some pretty intense military training, just finished, right? And you'll, well, moving on, but finished the big part. There we go. But is going to be moving on after this year. But it's been a joy to have her back in this program for this year, and she is such an outstanding pianist. So thank you, Kristen, for everything you have done this year. So up here on the risers, there are 92 seniors who are going to graduate 2 weeks from tonight. Seniors, can you raise your hand so see where you are? These men and women are going to be starting a new chapter of their life, but before they move on from here, I need a second to talk to them myself. So, hi, seniors. So it's very surreal for me to think about, but this will be the last time I really get to talk to you as a group. I'll see you graduation night, but we're not going to really have a chance to say much to each other. So I want to take this opportunity to say to all of you that even though it seems like a cliche, I got to say that these 3 school years have gone by astoundingly fast. It seems like such a short time ago that you came in here as sophomores, many of you, and you were probably pretty intimidated by the sheer scope and size of this school and of this program, but over that time, I've watched you grow, watched you become more confident, and really watch you make this place and this program your very own. I always like to ask this trivia question. Do you remember the very first song you sang at your very first concert a couple years ago, seniors? Have you remember? The very first song, winter concert, your sophomore year. It was a Walk Together Children. Walk Together Children. So listen, whether I've been your teacher for 3 years, 2, even just this one, I do want to just tell you that it has been an absolute pleasure for me to get to teach you. We've made some great music together, and we made quite a few memories as well. You were the class that was able to put on a spring concert just 2 days after we had a fire here, right? That was your sophomore year. You were the class who last year watched my wife and I go through the absolute intensity of having twin boys, right? And then this year you watched me become probably pretty unhinged as we raised those two boys into 1-year-olds, right? I suspect that there were probably a lot of days, seniors, when you came to class not necessarily wanting to sing, not necessarily in the mood to open your mouth and put the effort forward, but I'd also be willing to bet that on a lot of those days, probably unexpectedly, a song may have hit you in a way that you never had it hit you before, or maybe triggered a memory, or maybe got you to look at the world from a new perspective. We learn music because it's important and because it's worthwhile to learn music, but we also learn it because it forces us to recognize things about ourselves, which in turn allow us to learn things about one another that connect us all in a very meaningful way. Robin Williams, the great actor and comedian, once said, "Do you know what music is? It's a harmonic connection between all living things, everywhere, even the stars. It's God's little reminder that there is something besides us in this universe." Seniors, this world can be a wonderful place, but it needs people who understand how to connect with one another and to unify and not to dwell on differences that divide us. I think that the 92 of you are just the people to start really doing that work. You undoubtedly have many successes that lie ahead, but there are going to be times when you feel frustrated and that you need to fight just to make your voice heard. And it's at those times that, remember, you can let wisdom be your armor, you can let compassion be your sword, that you can be strong because of your humanity and your mercy, and that your courage and your bravery can save lives. Your time has come to shine. Your dreams are on their way. Congratulations, let's sing. makes a lot of noise.